Kioma sat bound to a metal chair in the center of the empty space, her wrists raw and bleeding from the zip ties cutting into her skin. The chair was bolted to the floor. Professional. Like someone had used this place for this exact purpose before. Minho paced in front of her like a caged animal, his expensive clothes rumpled, his hair disheveled, his eyes wild with something that looked like madness. His 5 men stood around the perimeter, silent, armed, watching. "Do you know what you've done to me?" Minho stopped pacing, turned to face her. "Everything. You destroyed everything." "Minho, please," Kioma begged. "Don't." He held up a hand. "I had a career, a reputation, a fiancé from one of the most powerful families in Seoul. Do you understand what that meant? What I'd built?" He laughed, high, cracking at the edges. "And you couldn't just leave. You had to be difficult, had to fight back, had to ruin me." "I didn't do anything," she started. "You went to someone." His voice rose, echoing off the warehouse walls. "Someone powerful enough to destroy my entire life in 48 hours. Someone who could freeze my accounts, seize my assets, open investigations that go back years." He stopped in front of her, crouched down to her eye level. "Who was it, Kioma? What did you do? Who did you fuck to get this kind of revenge?" he asked. She said nothing. "Was it worth it?" He grabbed her chin, forced her to look at him. "Was destroying me worth selling yourself to some—" "I didn't sell myself to anyone." She shot back angrily now. "Then how?" His grip tightened. "How does a Nigerian maid with no money, no connections, no power, how do you bring down a man like me? Maybe you weren't as powerful as you thought," she snapped. He slapped her, hard enough to make his point. Her head snapped to the side, tears springing to her eyes. "Don't test me." His voice was soft, deadly. "I'm not the same man you dated, Kioma. That man tried to be kind, tried to let you down gently. This man—" He stood, gestured around the warehouse. "This man has lost everything, and men with nothing to lose are very, very dangerous." He walked to a table against the wall, picked up his phone. "You know what the worst part is?" He scrolled through something. "Jiwoo's father called me yesterday, said he couldn't have his daughter marry someone under criminal investigation, said I was an embarrassment, a liability." He turned back to her. "The wedding was supposed to be in 6 weeks. 6 weeks, Kioma. I had the venue, the invitations, the life I was supposed to have." His voice cracked. "And you took it all away just because I was honest with you. Because I told you the truth instead of lying." "What? You literally used me, Minho. You wasted 2 years of my life," Kioma shot back. "So what?" He threw the phone. It shattered against the wall. "Everyone uses everyone. That's how the world works. You used me for your visa, for the life I gave you in Seoul." "I loved you. Don't." The word came out broken. "Don't say that. You didn't love me. You loved what I could give you, just like everyone else." He walked back to her, pulled out a knife. Kioma's breath stopped. "Relax," he laughed. "I'm not going to kill you. Not yet. First," he pressed a button on his phone with his free hand, "I'm going to send your new benefactor a message. Show him what happens when he crosses Park Min-ho. Show him that I'm not some helpless victim he can just—" The warehouse lights went out, all of them, simultaneously. Perfect, consuming darkness. "What the—" Minho started. His men moved immediately, flashlights clicking on, weapons drawn, forming a protective circle. Then the emergency backup lights kicked in, dim, red, turning everything the color of old blood. And in that crimson darkness, Kioma saw them, shadows moving along the warehouse rafters, at least 20, silent, coordinated, professional, like wolves. "We have company," one of Minho's men said, his voice tight. "Multiple contacts, high positions, they've got—" He never finished. The first shot was a whisper, suppressed, precise. The man dropped, clutching his knee, his scream echoing. Defensive positions, Minho shouted. Return fire. 3 more shots, 3 more men down, not dead, incapacitated, kneecaps, shoulders, precise. The 5th man ran for the exit. He made it 10 steps before someone dropped from the rafters and took him down with brutal efficiency. Then silence. Just Minho standing alone in the center of the warehouse, surrounded by his groaning men, knife still in his hand, turning in panicked circles. Show yourself, his voice cracked. Come out and face me like what? The cold voice came from directly behind him. Minho spun. Taewon stood 15 feet away, black suit, no tie, sleeves rolled to his elbows, hands in his pockets like he'd just arrived at a business meeting instead of a tactical assault. Stop. If you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? This is part 2 of one of the most intense romance stories I've ever told. If you haven't watched part 1, the link is in the description. Go watch it now, because you're missing the airport kiss, the fake marriage, and how Kyoma ended up married to Seoul's most dangerous man in the first place. But if you have watched part 1 and you're sitting here, heart racing, wondering what level of destruction Taewon has in store for Minho, hit that subscribe button because you're about to witness the most brutal, satisfying revenge scene in romance history. Drop a comment right now telling me, are you ready for Taewon's revenge? What should he do to Minho? Who's your favorite character? Kyoma or Taewon? Smash that like button. If you've been waiting for this moment since part 1, you screamed when Taewon walked in and need to know what happens to Minho immediately. Now let's watch the devil collect his debts. You're not ready for what comes next. Let's go. Behind Taewon, 24 men in tactical gear fanned out, armed, silent, controlled. Minho's mouth opened, closed, opened again. You, he finally managed. But how? You can't be... Can't be what? Taewon tilted his head slightly. Her husband? Her protector? The man who's about to teach you a very, very difficult lesson? He took 1 step forward, unhurried. All of the above, actually. Minho's brain was visibly trying to process, to connect dots. Wait, you 2 are married. Taewon said it simply. 2 days now. Well, technically the airport marriage was fake, but I found a way to make it legal shortly after. Paperwork is very important, whether legal or illegal, don't you think? That's impossible. Minho backed up. She's nobody. You're you, Jang Taewon. You own half of Seoul. He gestured wildly at Kyoma. What would you want with someone like her? Someone like her? Taewon's voice went very quiet, very dangerous. Explain that to me, Minho. What exactly do you mean by someone like her? She's just... Minho was spiraling now, trying to understand how his world had fractured so completely. She's a maid. She's poor. She's African. She doesn't belong in your world. She's not... Finish that sentence. Taewon took another step. I'm very curious where you're going with this. Minho's face went from confused to calculating. She must be incredible in bed. That's the only explanation. This is just physical. You're using her the same way He didn't get to finish. Taewon moved, faster than Minho could track, and suddenly Minho was on the ground, Taewon's foot pressing his face into the concrete. Let's try this again. Taewon's voice was conversational, pleasant even. What exactly is it about my wife that you find so incomprehensible? Nothing. I didn't mean... Minho struggled. You asked what I'd want with someone like her. The pressure increased slightly. I'm wondering if you're implying that a brilliant, brave woman who came to a foreign country alone to save her dying mother, a woman who learned Korean in 6 months, who built a new life from nothing, who had the courage to kiss a stranger at an airport when she had no other options. I'm wondering if you're suggesting that woman isn't worthy of me? He removed his foot. Minho gasped for air. Or, Taewon crouched down beside him. Are you suggesting that because of her nationality, she's somehow beneath me? No, I didn't. You were just showing me exactly who you are. Taewon stood. And I have to say, Minho, I'm beyond disappointed. I expected somewhat better from someone who worked for me for 5 years. Understanding crashed over Minho's face. Horror, realization. That's why the investigation, the accounts, all of it was you. All of it was you, Taewon corrected. You forged immigration documents, you embezzled company funds, you used company resources for personal gain, you committed fraud across 6 countries. He tilted his head. I just made sure people actually looked at what you'd been doing. But the engagement, Jiwoo's father, received a very detailed report about your activities, including, Taewon's expression darkened, how you used a vulnerable woman for 2 years, exploited her connections and her race for profit, then tried to have her deported when she was no longer useful. He stepped closer. Judge Park was very interested in that last part, especially when I mentioned that his own daughter might be next, that men who treat women as disposable tend to have patterns. Minho's face crumbled. You destroyed everything. My career, my reputation, You did that to yourself. Taewon's voice was ice. I just made sure you faced consequences for it, the same way you tried to make Kyoma face consequences for trusting you. He walked over to Kyoma, cut her restraints with smooth, practiced efficiency, helped her stand. Are you hurt? She shook her head, though her wrists were bleeding and her cheek was swelling where he'd hit her. Taewon's jaw tightened when he saw it. His eyes went flat. Empty. He turned back to Minho. Here's what happens now. His voice was calm, too calm. You're going to stand up. You're going to walk to the center of that circle my men are forming. And you're going to learn, very thoroughly, very painfully, what happens when someone puts their hands on my wife. Minho scrambled backward. No, you can't. I have rights. I'll call... Who? Taewon's smile was terrifying. The police? Excellent idea. He pulled out his phone, made a call. Commissioner Yoon, we're ready for you now. He ended the call, looked at Minho. He'll be here in about... He checked his watch. 7 minutes. Plenty of time. What are you... Minho gasped. My men are going to teach you a lesson. Then the police are going to arrest you. Then you're going to spend the next 20 years in a cell thinking about your choices. Taewon's tone never changed. Still pleasant. Still conversational. Any questions? You can't do this. There are laws. Evidence. There are. Taewon gestured to his men. They moved forward as one. And you're going to be charged with all of them. Kidnapping, assault, embezzlement, fraud, immigration crimes. The list is quite extensive. He walked back to Kyoma, put his jacket around her shoulders, turned her away from what was about to happen. Close your eyes, he said softly, just for her. You don't need to see this. She closed them. Behind her, she heard Minho screaming, begging, the sounds of impacts, breaking, teaching. It lasted exactly 6 minutes. When it stopped, Taewon's voice, That's enough. Leave him conscious. The commissioner will want him coherent for questioning. Footsteps approaching. Kyoma opened her eyes. Sirens in the distance, getting closer. Minho lay on the ground, barely moving, making small sounds of pain. The warehouse door burst open. Police flooded in, at least a dozen officers in full tactical gear. At the front, an older man in a commissioner's uniform. Distinguished. Authoritative. He walked past Taewon's men, still armed, still in formation, walked past the groaning bodies, walked past the evidence of extreme violence, walked straight to Minho. Park Minho, Commissioner Yoon said formally. You're under arrest for kidnapping, assault, immigration fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. You have the right to remain silent. What? Minho's voice was barely audible. No, can't you see? He gestured weakly at Taewon's men. They attacked me. They're armed. There are bodies. Commissioner Yoon didn't even glance at them. I don't see any bodies, Mr. Park. I see you, injured from resisting arrest, and— He looked around the warehouse with careful disinterest. Some broken chairs. That's all. You're lying. They're right there. Min-ho pointed at Tae-won. He ordered them to— Mr. Jang. Commissioner Yoon turned to Tae-won, nodded respectfully. Thank you for calling this in. We'll take custody of the suspect now. My pleasure, Commissioner. Tae-won's tone was pleasant. Always happy to assist law enforcement. No! Min-ho's voice rose to a scream as officers pulled him to his feet. This isn't real. This isn't how it works. You can't just— Take him, Commissioner Yoon ordered. They dragged Min-ho toward the door. He thrashed, screamed, fought against them. You're all corrupt. You're all on his payroll. This is illegal. This is— Min-ho's voice faded as they pulled him outside along with the rest of his injured men. Commissioner Yoon turned back to Tae-won. We'll need a statement from Mrs. Jang when she's ready. Tomorrow, Tae-won said. She needs medical attention first. Of course. He nodded to Tae-won. Have a good evening, Mr. Jang. He walked out. The warehouse fell silent. Tae-won's men began moving efficiently, cleaning, erasing, making the last hour disappear like it had never happened. Tae-won turned to Kyoma. Let's go home. Outside, Min-ho's voice was still screaming in the distance as the police van pulled away. This isn't over, you can't do this. I'll tell everyone. The media, the government, everyone will know what you— The van door slammed shut, cutting him off. Kyoma looked at Tae-won. He's right, it's not legal, what you did, what they're doing. No, Tae-won agreed. It's not legal, it's just— He guided her toward the Bentley. There's a difference. The commissioner owes me several favors, and more importantly, he opened the car door for her. He has a daughter who was almost trafficked 3 years ago. I'm the one who found her, brought her home safely. He's very motivated to turn a blind eye when I call in a favor involving someone who exploits vulnerable women. She slid into the car. He got in beside her. The door closed. The world went quiet. I'm sorry you had to see any of that, he said. You saved me, she said. Again. I protected what's mine. He pulled her against him. She went willingly, pressing her face into his chest, finally letting herself shake. And Min-ho will never touch you, never even think about you, again. What happens to him now? Prison. 20 years if I have my way. More if I'm feeling particularly vindictive. His hand stroked her hair. He'll have plenty of time to think about what happens when you cross the Jang family. She was quiet for a moment. Then, softly, he couldn't understand it. Why you'd want me. Tae-won went very still. What? He asked what you'd want with someone like me. Like he couldn't comprehend. Her voice cracked. Like I wasn't worthy of— Stop. Tae-won tilted her face up to meet his eyes. Listen to me very carefully. Min-ho is an insect. A racist, manipulative insect who measures people's worth by their usefulness to him. His opinion is worth less than nothing. His thumb traced her cheekbone. You want to know what I see when I look at you? I see a woman who flew across the world for love, who worked 2 jobs to save her mother, who had the courage to kiss a complete stranger when she had nothing left to lose, who chose to stay with me even when she knew exactly who and what I was, he said. His eyes were intense, honest. I see the woman who made me feel human again, who made me remember what it's like to want something more than power, who makes me laugh, who challenges me, who's brave and kind and real in a world full of people pretending. He continued, then kissed her forehead. Min-ho couldn't understand it because he's never valued anything he couldn't exploit. But I'm not him. And you, he smiled, you're the best thing that's ever crashed into my life. She kissed him, desperate, grateful, believing him. When they broke apart, she whispered, Take me home. Already there, he said, as the Bentley pulled smoothly onto the highway toward Seoul. Behind them, the warehouse disappeared into the darkness, and Park Min-ho disappeared with it. 3 weeks later, back at the estate, life had found a rhythm. Kyoma's visa was secure, permanently now. Her status had been updated to spouse of Korean national, with a note in the system that made immigration officers very polite whenever they saw her name. Min-ho was in custody, awaiting trial. The news had covered it extensively. Prominent business director charged with kidnapping, fraud, and immigration crimes. His bail had been denied, repeatedly. And Kyoma had slowly, impossibly, settled into being Mrs. Jang. The penthouse felt like home now. Mrs. Shin had stopped looking at her like a variable to be managed and started treating her like family, which was unexpected and warm and slightly terrifying. Taewon was exactly what she'd feared and hoped for, possessive in ways that made her pulse race, protective to the point of absurdity. She couldn't go to the grocery store without one of his men coincidentally being in the same aisle, but also surprisingly gentle, funny in a dry, cutting way that caught her off guard constantly, like right now. They were having breakfast. Or rather, she was having breakfast while he read something on his tablet and systematically stole food from her plate. "You have your own eggs," she said. "Yours taste better." He replied, not looking up from his phone. "They're the same eggs." "No." He took another bite. "Yours are seasoned with indignation. Adds flavor." She tried not to smile. Failed completely. He caught it immediately. "What?" he asked. "Nothing," she replied. "You're smiling at me," he accused. "I smile at lots of things. Not like that." His eyes gleamed with something dangerous and amused. "That's the smile that means you think I'm charming despite your better judgment." "I think you're very annoying," she corrected. "Those aren't mutually exclusive." He set down the tablet, looked at her with that intensity that still made her breath catch. "You can find me charming and annoying. I'm multifaceted. You're something." She sighed with a smile. "I'm yours." He said it simply, matter-of-factly, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. The air between them shifted. Before she could respond, her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. "Hello? Mrs. Jang?" The voice was female, older, refined. "This is Jang Mi-sun, Taewon's mother." Kyoma's heart stopped. She looked at Taewon. He was already watching her, something shifting in his expression. Hello, I didn't know," Kyoma stuttered. "Of course you didn't." Mi-sun's voice was warm, almost maternal. "My son has been keeping you to himself. Very rude of him, don't you think?" I was hoping we could meet. Just the two of us, woman to woman. I'd like to get to know the woman who captured my son's attention so completely." She continued. Kyoma glanced at Taewon again. He was still watching, jaw tight. "I'd need to check without Taewon, dear." Mi-sun's voice stayed pleasant. "I'm sure you understand. Mother-daughter conversations are best kept private, at least at first." Something in her tone made Kyoma's spine straighten. "When did you want to meet?" she asked. "This afternoon, 2:00. I'll send a car. There's a lovely tea house in Bukchon. Very private. Very discreet." Taewon was shaking his head, firmly. "I'll be there," Kyoma said. "Wonderful. I look forward to meeting you properly, Kyoma. I've heard so much." The line went dead. Kyoma lowered the phone slowly. Taewon's expression was flat. "No. She's your mother. Which is exactly why the answer is no." He stood, walked around the table. "You don't meet with her alone. Ever. Taewon, she's dangerous." His voice was quiet, serious. "More dangerous than Min-ho. More dangerous than any enemy I have, because she thinks she's protecting me, and there's no reasoning with that." "She just wants to meet me," Kyoma began. "She wants to assess you." He cupped her face. "Decide if you're a threat. And when she decides you are, because she will, Kyoma, she always does, she'll try to remove you. That's paranoid. That's experience." His eyes were hard. "Promise me you won't go." She looked at him, saw the genuine fear there, the worry. "I promise," she lied. Bukchon Tea House. The car had arrived exactly on time. 6 p.m. Black. Expensive. Silent driver who'd said nothing during the 30-minute drive. The tea house was traditional Korean architecture. Beautiful, expensive. Empty except for one woman sitting at a low table in a private room. Jung Mi-sun was elegant in the way that money and breeding created. Late 50s, designer hanbok, hair styled perfectly, makeup subtle and flawless. She smiled when Kyoma entered, warm, welcoming. "Kyoma, come, sit, please." Kyoma sat across from her, the door closed behind them. "Tea?" Mi-sun poured without waiting for an answer. "It's Korean medicinal tea, very good for health, for mothers especially." She handed Kyoma the cup. "I was so happy to hear about you," Mi-sun continued. "My son has been different lately, lighter. I wondered what could cause such a change." "He's been good to me," Kyoma said. "He's a good man." "Has he?" Mi-sun sipped her tea. "I'm glad. Taewon can be intense, demanding. But he has a good heart, buried under all that ice and control, but it's there." She set down her cup. "I heard about your mother, the surgery she needs. Such a terrible thing. Cancer is so cruel." Kyoma's breath caught. "How did you—" "I know everything about my son's life, dear, including the woman he married without telling me." Her smile never wavered. "I was hurt, of course, but I understood. Young love is impulsive." She pulled out an envelope, slid it across the table. "I took the liberty of handling it. Your mother's surgery? All of it. The best facility in Lagos. The best surgeons, post-operative care, medication, everything. Also, Kyoma's hands shook as she opened the envelope. Medical documents, payment confirmations, surgery scheduled for next month. This is too much," Kyoma stuttered. "Nonsense." Mi-sun waved a hand. "You're family now, and family takes care of family. I don't know how to thank you." Tears burned behind Kyoma's eyes. "Don't thank me yet." Mi-sun's voice was still pleasant. "Just sit there a moment. Process it." Kyoma looked at the papers, at the proof that her mother would live, would be healthy, would have years ahead of her. She stood abruptly, walked around the table, dropped to her knees in front of Mi-sun. "Thank you." The tears fell freely now. "Thank you so much. You have no idea what this means." "Oh, I think I do." Mi-sun's hand touched her head, gentle, almost motherly. "A child's love for her mother is a powerful thing." She paused. "As is a mother's love for her child." Mi-sun ended. Something in her tone made Kyoma look up. Mi-sun's expression hadn't changed, still warm, still kind, but her eyes had gone cold. "It's only appropriate," Mi-sun said softly, "that if I do something so significant for you, you do something for me in return. Don't you agree?" Kyoma's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "Stand up, dear. Let's talk properly," Mi-sun asked. Kyoma stood on shaking legs, returned to her seat. Mi-sun poured more tea, took a delicate sip. "This morning," she began, her voice conversational, "I discovered that my son had gotten married. Can you imagine my surprise, my shock? My only child, the most important person in my life, and I had to learn about his wedding from staff gossip." The warmth was draining from her voice like water from a cracked cup. "I was heartbroken, Kyoma. Absolutely devastated. What kind of son doesn't tell his mother he's getting married? What kind of wife allows that?" "We were going to tell you." "When?" The word was sharp. "After the first child? The second? When exactly were you planning to let me know my son had brought a stranger into our family?" Kyoma said nothing. Mi-sun set down her cup, leaned forward. "And then, just 2 hours ago, I received a very interesting phone call from one of my associates, a spy, someone who keeps me informed about threats to my family." She paused for effect. The Choi Syndicate has you in their sights, dear. They know about you. They know Taewon cares about you. And they're planning something that will use you to destroy everything he has built, everything my family stands for. Kyoma's blood went cold. I don't know anything about... Of course you don't. Mi-sun's smile was pitying now. You're just a girl who needed help, a foreigner in a desperate situation. You couldn't have known what door you were knocking on when you kissed my son. She stood, walked to the window, looked out at the traditional Korean garden. But ignorance doesn't change reality. You're a liability now, a weapon our enemies can use, a weakness in armor that's taken decades to build. She turned back. So, I'm going to give you a choice, Kyoma. 2 options, both of which will be difficult, both of which require sacrifice. Her expression was calm, reasonable, terrifying. Option 1. You leave. Tonight. Quietly. No dramatic goodbyes, no tearful explanations. She pulled a plane ticket from her handbag, set it on the table. First class to Lagos, departing at 3 a.m. You go home. You get to watch your mother recover from her surgery, which I've paid for, remember? You live a long, safe, comfortable life far away from Seoul and my son. I can't just... Kyoma began. Option 2. Mi-sun's voice went very soft, very gentle. You stay. You continue this relationship with Taewon. You make him vulnerable. You paint a target on his back. And when the Choi Syndicate comes, and they will come, Kyoma, you get to watch my son die protecting you, after which, of course, you die along with him. She walked back to the table, leaned down until her face was inches from Kyoma's. Unless, she whispered, I handle that myself first. The implication landed like ice water. You're saying you'll kill me? Kyoma choked out. Kill? Mi-sun straightened, looking almost offended. Such a crude word. I prefer remove the threat to my family. She smoothed her hanbok. It's not personal, dear. It's practical. 1 life to save my son's? That's not even much of a difficult calculation. She checked her watch. You have 6 hours to decide. The ticket is yours. She gestured to it. If you choose wisdom, if you choose to save yourself and Taewon from what's coming. She walked to the door, paused. A mother knows what's best for her child, Kyoma. And you... Her smile was poisonous. You are most definitely not what's best for mine. The door opened, closed. Kyoma sat alone in the tea room, staring at the plane ticket. First class, Lagos, departing 3 a.m., 6 hours. Kyoma sat on the bed in her room, the guest room she'd moved back into after the meeting, claiming she needed space to think, and stared at her packed suitcase. 5 hours and 34 minutes. She'd spent 5 hours and 34 minutes trying to decide, but the decision wasn't the problem. The problem was telling him. She looked at her phone. 23 missed calls from Taewon, 37 texts. Where are you? Kyoma, answer your phone. I'm sending someone to find you. Please, tell me you're safe. I know you met with her. I know. Just come home. Kyoma, I'm losing my mind. She'd texted back once. I'm fine. I got stuck in traffic. I'll be home soon. She hadn't responded after that, because what could she say? Your mother threatened to kill me unless I leave? Your mother says enemies are targeting you because of me? Your mother paid for my mother's surgery and now I'm trapped in a debt I can't repay? She couldn't tell him. She'd seen how he operated, the cold fury when Minho had taken her, the absolute ruthlessness, the way he'd dismantled a man's entire life without hesitation. He'd go to war with his own mother for her. And she couldn't be the reason Taewon lost the last family he had. His father was dead, killed himself in custody. His mother was all he had left. And Kyoma was the stranger who'd crashed into his life a month ago and turned it upside down. The logical choice was obvious. Leave. Save him from the Choi Syndicate. Save him from having to choose between his mother and his wife. Save him from the target she'd painted on his back. It made sense. It was the selfless choice, the loving choice. So why couldn't she make herself open the door? She stood, paced, sat back down, looked at the ticket. 3 a.m., 3 hours and 13 minutes from now, her mother would be healthy, would recover, would live, and Taewon would be safe. From enemies, from impossible choices, from her. It was the right thing to do. She told herself that as she grabbed the suitcase handle. She told herself that as she walked to the door. She told herself that as her hand touched the doorknob. This is love, letting go to keep him safe. She opened the door and froze. Taewon leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, perfectly still, looking at her with eyes that saw everything. "You look pretty," he said quietly, knowingly. His voice was calm, too calm, the calm before violence, and Kioma knew, absolutely knew, that she'd just made a terrible mistake. Comment, "Don't leave," if your heart just stopped. Like, if you need to know what happens next. I was just... Kioma's mouth went dry. "Taking your suitcase for a walk?" His tone was pleasant, conversational, which somehow made it worse. "Interesting hobby. Does it get much exercise?" "Taewon, I can explain," she started. "Can you?" He pushed off the doorframe, took one step into the room. "Because I've been standing here for 4 hours listening to you pack, wondering if you'd actually go through with it, wondering if you'd really try to leave without even saying so little as goodbye." 4 hours. He'd been there for 4 hours. Her voice cracked. "How did you know?" "About my mother's meeting?" He tilted his head. "I know about all her meetings, Kioma. Every single one. Who she talks to, where she goes, what threats she makes." Another step. "Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" "She said not to tell you. And you listened." Not quite an accusation. Worse than that, disappointment. "You listened to the woman who threatened to kill you instead of coming to your husband. She's your mother. She's a manipulator." Another step. Now he was close enough to touch. "And apparently a very good one, because she's got you standing here with a suitcase and a plane ticket, so ready to disappear from my life." He'd seen the ticket. Of course he'd seen it. "The enemies," Kioma started, "are handled." His voice was flat. "The Choi Syndicate was dismantled 5 hours ago. Every member either in custody or fled the country. They're not a threat anymore. They're barely a memory." Her breath stopped. "But your mother said..." "My mother lied." He took the suitcase from her hand, set it aside. "About the threats, about the danger, about..." His jaw tightened. "Who paid for your mother's surgery?" "What?" "That was me, Kioma." His eyes were intense, hurt. 2 weeks ago, I transferred the funds. I arranged everything. The facility, the surgeons, the aftercare, all of it. The room tilted. "But she showed me documents that I created." His voice was careful, controlled. "She found out about them, somehow, and decided to take credit, to use them as leverage against you." "I don't understand." Kioma lost her voice. "She wanted you gone." He said it simply, "and she found the perfect way to make you leave voluntarily, make you think you were being selfless, make you think you were saving me." Tears burned behind her eyes. "I was trying to protect you." "From what?" His hands cupped her face. "From my mother? From enemies I already destroyed? From yourself?" "From having to choose," Kioma confessed. "There's no choice." His voice cracked slightly. "There's never been a choice. It's you, Kioma. It's always been you. There's only ever been you." The tears spilled over. "She's all the family you have left. You're my family." He wiped her tears with his thumbs. "You're my wife, my partner, the person who makes me want to be human instead of just operational." But she said, "I know what she said. I know about the threats, the ultimatum, the 6-hour deadline." his forehead pressed against hers. "And I've been standing outside your door for 4 hours watching you make a decision, hoping," his voice went rough, "praying you'd choose to stay. I thought I was saving you. You were running. Not cruel, just honest. And I'm disappointed, Kioma. Not angry, not furious, just—" He pulled back to look at her. "Disappointed that you didn't trust me enough to fight for us." She broke, completely. Sobs tore out of her throat. "I was so confused, so scared. I didn't know what to do." He pulled her against his chest. Let her cry. Let her shake. Let her break. "I know," he murmured into her hair. "I know you were scared. I know she's terrifying. I know you thought you were doing the right thing." "I didn't want to make you choose between us," she sobbed. "There's no choice," he repeated firmly. "She's my mother. I'll always care about her. But you—" His arms tightened. "You're my life. You're the reason I wake up, the reason I laugh, the reason I feel anything at all." He tilted her face up. "For 20 years I was hollow, empty, building empires and destroying enemies and not feeling any of it, just going through motions because that's what I was supposed to do." His eyes searched hers. "And then you crashed into my airport, kissed me like I was your last hope, and something in me that I thought was dead, that I thought I'd buried with my father, just woke up." He continued. "Taewon, I was willing to die before I met you," he said quietly. "Death didn't scare me. Living did. Because living meant feeling. And feeling meant pain. And I'd had enough pain for 10 lifetimes." His thumb traced her jaw. "But then you made me feel again. And yeah, it's terrifying. And yes, it makes me vulnerable. And absolutely, it gives enemies a weapon they can use against me." He smiled. Broken. Beautiful. "But I'd rather have 1 year of feeling this," he gestured between them, "than 100 years of being dead inside. I'd rather face every enemy in Seoul with a target on my back than spend 1 day without you." Kioma's heart cracked open. "That's insane," she said. "I'm aware." His smile widened slightly. "You made me insane. You made me human. You made me want to live instead of just survive." He kissed her, soft, gentle, thorough. When he pulled back, she whispered, "What about your mother?" "I'll handle her." His expression went cold, hard, the dangerous man returning. "But first," he pulled something from his pocket, a key card. "We have plans." "Plans?" "I booked something 3 days ago. A surprise. I was going to tell you about your mother's surgery there." His jaw tightened. "Before my mother decided to take credit for it and use it against you." He handed her the keycard. "Amanoi Resort, Vietnam. Presidential Villa. We're leaving in 2 hours. We'll be gone for 3 days. And when we get back," his eyes were hard, "I'm going to have a very pointed conversation with my mother about boundaries. She'll never accept me. She doesn't have to." His voice was final. "She just has to respect that you're my choice, that I'd burn the world down before I let anyone, including her, take you from me." He picked up her suitcase, opened it, started unpacking. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Unpacking your escape attempt." He pulled out clothes, set them back in drawers. "Because you're not going anywhere. Not tonight, not tomorrow, not ever unless you walk away looking me in the eye and telling me you don't want this." He turned to face her. "So tell me now, Kioma, do you want to leave?" he asked. She looked at him, at the man who'd saved her, who'd defended her, who'd paid for her mother's surgery and let someone else take credit just so he could surprise her, who'd stood outside her door for 4 hours hoping she'd stay. "No," she whispered. "I want to stay." "Good." He pulled her close, kissed her forehead. "Because I'm not letting you go without a fight. And I'm very, very good at fighting." Amanoi Resort, Vietnam. 2 days later. The resort was spectacular, private villas perched on cliffs overlooking the South China Sea, infinity pools that seemed to pour into the ocean, service so discreet you forgot other people existed. They'd spent 2 days doing nothing but existing together, swimming, eating, talking, making love, watching sunsets. It felt like a dream, like the world couldn't touch them here. Keoma should have known better. They were having dinner on their villa's private terrace, the table set with candles and flowers, the ocean glittering below, when Taewon's phone rang. He glanced at it, frowned. "I need to take this. It's urgent." He stood. 5 minutes. I promise." He kissed her head and walked inside. Keoma sat there, wine in hand, watching the waves. 5 minutes became 10, then 15. A black woman in her 40s appeared at the terrace entrance with tears in her eyes. Staff uniform. Older, kind face. "Excuse me, ma'am?" Her voice was accented, nervous. "I'm so sorry to disturb you, but—" She wrung her hands. "My daughter. She's paralyzed and very sick. She's in the garden below. I can't leave my station, but she needs her medicine, and I don't know what to do." Keoma stood immediately. "Where is she?" "Just down this path." The woman pointed to a stairway leading to the gardens. "Please, if you could just bring her back here. I'm not supposed to leave during service." Warning bells should have rung. They'd rung before, at Jeju Island, when Mi-sun had used the same trick. But Keoma was relaxed, happy. 2 days of peace had made her forget that peace didn't last in Taewon's world. "Of course. Show me." She followed the woman down the stairs, through the gardens, down a path that got progressively darker. Too late, she realized they'd left the main resort. Too late, she heard footsteps behind her. Too late, she tried to run. Arms grabbed her from behind. Professional. Strong. A cloth pressed over her mouth. Chemical smell. Sweet. Wrong. The woman who'd led her here turned back, her expression apologetic but firm. "I'm sorry," she said in perfect, unaccented English. She paid too much to say no. My daughter's future was on the line. The world tilted. Darkness. Keoma woke to the smell of expensive perfume and disappointment. She was in a chair, hands bound loosely, not cruelly, just restrained. The room was beautiful. Traditional Vietnamese furniture, silk curtains, soft lighting. Almost nice, except for the woman sitting across from her. Jung Mi-sun looked elegant as always. Designer dress, perfect makeup, expression calm and controlled. "You're awake," she said pleasantly. "Good. I was beginning to worry I'd used too much chloroform." Keoma's head pounded. "Where am I?" "A private villa, just down the coast from where my son is currently tearing apart the resort looking for you." Mi-sun sipped tea. "He'll find us eventually. He always does. But we have time for a conversation." "What do you want?" "The same thing I wanted in Seoul." Mi-sun set down her cup. "For you to leave, to disappear, to stop being a problem I have to solve." "Taewon said the enemies are gone," Keoma countered. "Those enemies." Mi-sun's smile was cold. "But there will always be others. This world doesn't stop producing threats, dear. And you," she gestured at Keoma, "you're the biggest threat of all. You make him weak." Mi-sun leaned forward. "Do you know what he was before you? Focused, controlled, untouchable. He was exactly where he needed to be. He was empty, miserable." "Is that really how you want your son to live?" Keoma shot back. "He was safe." Mi-sun's voice sharpened. "And safety is survival in our world. But you made him feel things, want things, care about things other than power." She stood, walked to the window. "You made him human. And humans die, Keoma. They die protecting the things they love, just like his father died." Silence. "You don't know the whole story," Mi-sun said quietly. "About how his father really died. Taewon thinks it was suicide, that the charges and custody broke him." She turned back. "But it wasn't the charges. It was a woman." Keoma went still. "My husband had a mistress, his high school sweetheart. Someone he loved more than power, more than safety, more than me. Mi-sun's expression was carefully neutral. Our enemies found out, used her to get to him, tortured her in front of him until he gave up everything. Names, locations, accounts. Her voice went flat. Then they killed her anyway, and 3 days later, he killed himself. Not because of the charges, because he couldn't live with what loving her had cost him, what it had cost us. She walked back to Kioma. You're his mistress, Kioma, the weakness that will destroy him. And I can't watch my son die the way his father did. Taewon already handled the threats. Today's threats. Mi-sun's smile was bitter. What about tomorrow's, next month's, next year's? There will always be someone who wants to hurt my son. And you... She crouched down. You're the easiest way to do it. So what? Kioma's voice was steady despite her fear. You're going to kill me? That's your solution? Not kill. Mi-sun looked almost offended. I'm not a monster. I'm a mother, and mothers do what's necessary to protect their children. She pulled out a syringe, set it on the table between them. This is ketamine, a sedative. You'll sleep for about 12 hours. When you wake up, you'll be on a plane to Lagos, first class, very comfortable. She smiled. Your mother's surgery will proceed as planned. You'll have money in your account, enough to live very well, and Taewon will believe you left voluntarily. He'll never believe that. He will when he reads your note. Mi-sun pulled out a paper. Kioma's handwriting, slightly shaky but unmistakably hers. I had you write it while you were semi-conscious in the car. You don't remember, but you were very cooperative. She showed it to Kioma. It read out, Taewon. I can't do this anymore. Your world is too dangerous. I'm scared all the time. I want to go home, be with my mother, live a normal life. I'm sorry. Please don't look for me. Yours lovingly, Kioma. No, Kioma breathed. No, he won't believe that. He will. Mi-sun's voice was certain. Because he'll want to. Because believing you left voluntarily is easier than believing I took you from him. Because he loves you, and love makes people believe impossible things. She picked up the syringe. This is better for everyone. You'll be safe. He'll eventually move on, and I won't have to watch my son die for a woman he's known 2 months. Please, don't do this, Kioma begged, whimpering. The door slammed open. Taewon stood there, suited, controlled, absolutely lethal. Behind him, a dozen men in tactical gear. Step away from my wife, he said quietly. Now. Comment, showdown. If you need this confrontation, like if your heart is racing. Mi-sun stood slowly, the syringe still in her hand. Taewon. Her voice was calm, pleasant, like they'd just met for lunch. I was hoping we could handle this privately. Were you? He walked into the room. His men stayed at the door, present, armed, waiting. Because from where I'm standing, you kidnapped my wife. Again. That seems pretty public. I'm just trying to protect you. By drugging her? By planning to ship her to another country while she's unconscious? His voice never rose, stayed quiet, conversational, which made it infinitely more terrifying. Interesting protection strategy, Mother. He moved to Kioma, cut her restraints with a knife from his jacket, helped her stand. Are you hurt? He asked her. She shook her head. Good. He kept her close, turned to face his mother. We're leaving. And you... His eyes went cold. Are never going to contact her again. She's going to get you killed. Maybe. He said it simply, like it was just a fact. Or maybe I'll live longer and happier than I ever did without her. Either way. His voice went hard. It's my choice, not yours. Your father died because someone used his love as a weapon. I know. Taewon's jaw tightened. I've known the whole story for years. And yes, love makes you vulnerable. Yes, It gives enemies something to use against you. But you know what's worse than that? He pulled Kioma closer. 20 years of being so afraid of vulnerability that you stop being human, that you become just machinery. That's not safety, Mother. That's just existing. And I'm done with that, he said coldly. Misun's composure cracked, just slightly. I'm trying to save you. I don't need saving. His voice softened. Just a fraction. I need you to trust that I'm strong enough to protect what's mine, that I can love someone and survive it, that I'm not Father. But what if you're wrong? Her voice was raw now, real. What if she gets you killed? What if I have to bury you the way I buried him? Then you bury me, he said it gently, firmly. But at least I'll die having lived, having felt something, having been human instead of just operational. He took a step toward her. I love you, Mother. You raised me. You taught me everything I know, and I'll always be grateful. A pause. But Kioma is my wife, my choice, my life, and you need to accept that, or accept that you can't be part of it. He finished. Misun's face crumpled. Just for a second. Then she pulled herself together. You're choosing her over me. I'm choosing my future over your fear, he corrected. And right now, she is the only future I see. He guided Kioma toward the door. When you're ready to accept her, truly accept her, not manipulate or threaten or drug her, you know where to find us. He paused at the doorway. Until then, stay away from my wife. They walked out. In the car, the silence was comfortable. Safe. His hand found hers, laced their fingers together. Kioma looked at him. Really looked. At the man who'd saved her. Who'd defended her. Who'd stood outside her door for 4 hours hoping she wouldn't leave. Who'd just chosen her over his own mother. He looked nervous, awkward. She wondered if she'd just made him make the biggest mistake of his life. So, what happens now? She asked softly, trying to break the ice. He was quiet for a moment. Then he reached into his jacket pocket. Now. He pulled out a small velvet box. I do something I should have done weeks ago. Her breath caught. He opened it. The ring was stunning. Simple but absolutely gorgeous. A perfect diamond that caught the moonlight streaming through the car window and turned it into something magical. 3 weeks ago, he began, his voice low and intense. You kissed me to avoid deportation and accidentally married a devil. His eyes met hers, vulnerable in a way she'd never seen. Tonight, I'm asking you to choose me, not out of desperation, not out of necessity, not because you have nowhere else to go. He took her hand, his thumb tracing circles on her wrist, but because you want to. Taewon, she gasped, still in disbelief, knowing exactly who I am, what I am, the danger that comes with my name, the enemies who will always be circling, the mother who may never fully accept you. His voice went rough. Knowing that loving me means living in a world that's beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. He pulled the ring from the box. Kioma Okafor. His hands were steady, but his eyes were desperate, pleading, raw with hope and fear. Will you actually marry me? For real this time? Not because some immigration officer is chasing you, not because you have no other choice, but because you choose this, choose me, choose us. Tears streamed down her face. She looked at the ring, at him, at the man who'd gone to war for her, who'd paid for her mother's surgery and let someone else take credit, who'd dismantled enemies in 5 hours just to keep her safe, who'd stood outside her door for 4 hours waiting to see if she'd stay, at the man who'd been hollow for 20 years until she'd kissed him in an airport and made him feel human again. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I choose you. Every day, every moment. Yes. His hands shook slightly as he slid the ring onto her finger. Then he pulled her into his arms and kissed her, not desperately, not urgently, slowly, thoroughly. I was empty before you. I know. I was empty before you. I know. I was just existing, just surviving, just going through the motions of being alive without actually living. He continued as his hand cupped her face. And then you crashed into my life, grabbed my face, kissed me like I was your last hope. And something in me that I thought was dead just... His voice cracked. Woke up. Taewon, Kioma whimpered. I love you, he said. Raw, honest. I'm in love with you, with your courage, your kindness, the way you fought for yourself when you had nothing, the way you tried to leave to protect me, even though it broke your heart. Her tears fell faster now. I love you, he repeated. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving that choosing me, choosing this dangerous, complicated, beautiful mess, was the right decision. She kissed him again, tasting salt from both their tears. I love you too, she whispered against his mouth. My devil, my husband, my home. He held her like he'd never let go, like she was the most precious thing he'd ever held, like she'd saved him just as much as he'd saved her. Outside, Vietnam glittered in the darkness. Inside the car, two people who'd found each other in the most impossible way held on to each other like their lives depended on it. Because in a way, they did. Did this story touch you? Subscribe for more addictive romance stories that will keep you up at 3 a.m. Comment your favorite moment. Mine was when he stood outside her door for 4 hours. And tell me what trope you want next. Mafia queen finding her king? Arranged marriage gone wrong or right? Enemies to lovers with real tension? A love triangle between a strong black queen from Chicago and two of the most deadly mafia bosses in Korea who are willing to break all the rules for her heart? Like if you got chills when he came for her, or screamed when his mother drugged her, or even cried during the proposal. Like this video if you also need a Taewon in your life immediately. I know I definitely do. Turn on notifications, because tomorrow's story is going to hit even different. A black girl sold by her father as a toy to the ghost king of Korea, and a mafia boss who doesn't take no for an answer. Your engagement decides what I write next. So if you want more dangerous love stories, more possessive heroes, more forbidden romance, show me. Drop a comment if you're ready for the next story. See you real soon. And remember, sometimes the worst mistakes lead to the best love stories.